Narakovala Ananda Godhana Rakovala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Rakovala Sundarananda Gopala Rakovala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sarasika Sundarana Narasarasika Kripamoya Radhamalabha Vrindavana Natapana Govinda Madhavana Vanita Radhamalabha Vrindavana Natapana Napakati Vinorachaya Pakati Vinorashaya Yashomati Nandana Brajo Paranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yashomati Nandana Brajo Paranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Amala Harina Mami Avilasa Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Pakati Vinorashaya Pakati Vinorashaya Divine Grace of I Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Srotarasata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalitra Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Srotarasata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Shri Avirbhava Mahamahotsav of His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Ki Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Shri Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Mati Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Yuga Dharma Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Himanshu, we have the song? Really? I'm surprised. Is Vibhavari Sesha there? Today is the divine appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we'll have program in the temple room starting 11:15. 11:15 to about 11:40. We'll have bhajans, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajans. From about 11:40 to 12:15, His Grace Pratyusha Prabhu will speak something about Bhaktivinoda Thakur for our benefit. And then Pushpanjali at 12:15. And 12:30 will be Guru Puja. And then Mahaprasadam at 1 o'clock. So in honor of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there are many songs that can be sung. The song is sung at dawn, when sun is about to rise. This, especially in Vrindavan, they sing this song as part of their Mangalarati. And this is a long list of Krishna's names, different names of Krishna for remembering him in different pastimes and different appearances. Yesterday was the appearance day of Lord Vamana. Before that was Ekadashi. Today is the appearance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we'll see how it goes. Vibhavari Sesha Aloka Pravesha Nidrachari Utajiva Aloka Pravesha Nidrachari Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Nrsimha Vamana Shri Madhusudana Brajendra Nandana Shama Utana Ghatana Kaitabashatana जय दशरथि रामा यशोदा दूलाला गोविंद गोपाल वृंदावन पुरंदरा गोपी प्रिया जन राधिका रमन भुवन सुंदर बारा रावणांतकर माखन तस्कर गोपी जना वस्त्रहारी ब्रजेर राखल गोप वृंदापाल चितहरि वंशीधारे योगींद्र वंदन श्रीनंदनंदन ब्रज जन भयहारी नवीन नीरद रूप मनोहर मोहन बंशी बिहारी यशोदानंदन कंस निषूदन निकुंज रास विलासी कदम्ब कानन रासपरायण वृंद विपिन निवासी वृंद आनंद वर्धन प्रेम निकेतन कुलशर जो जकामा गोपंगनागन चित विनोदन समस्त गुण गण धामा यमुना जीवन केली परायण मानस चंद्र चकोरा नाम सुधारस गाओ कृष्णा जश राख वचन मन मोरा नाम सुधारस गाओ कृष्णा यश राख वचन मन मोरा नाम सुधारस गाओ कृष्णा यश राख वचन मन मोरा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद इस डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Which verse are we on? Text to next chapter 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 2. chapter is called The Forest of Material Enjoyment, a forest of enjoyment. This is this verse is in prose, so we'll go for the translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the forest of material existence, the uncontrolled senses are like plunderers. The conditioned soul may earn some money for the advancement of Krishna consciousness, but unfortunately, the uncontrolled senses plunder his money through sense gratification. The senses are plunderers because they make one spend his money unnecessarily for seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, desiring, and willing. In this way, the conditioned soul is obliged to gratify his senses, and thus all his money is spent. This money is actually acquired for the execution of religious principles, but it is taken away by the plundering senses. Report. Purva Janmarjita Vidya Purva Janmarjitam Dhanamagre Dhavati Dhavati. By following the principles of Varnashram Dharma, one attains a better position in the material world. One may be rich, learned, beautiful, or high-born. One who has all these assets should know that they are all meant for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, when a person is misguided, he misuses his high position for sense gratification. Therefore, the uncontrolled senses are considered plunderers. The good position one attains by executing religious principles is wasted as the plundering senses take it away. By executing religious principles under the laws of Varnashram Dharma, one is placed in a comfortable position. One may very easily use his assets for further advancement of Krishna consciousness. One should understand that the wealth and opportunity that one gets in the material world should not be squandered in sense gratification. They are meant for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore teaching people to control the mind and 5 knowledge-acquiring senses by a definite process. One should practice a little austerity and not spend money on anything other than the regulative life of devotional service. The senses demand that one see beautiful things. Therefore, money should be spent for decorating the deity in the temple. Similarly, the tongue has to taste good food, which should be bought and offered to the deity. The nose can be utilized in smelling the flowers offered to the deity, and the hearing can be utilized by listening to the vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra. In this way, the senses can be regulated and utilized to advance Krishna consciousness. Thus, a good position might not be spoiled by material sense gratification in the form of illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. One spoils an opulent position in the material world by driving cars, spending time in nightclubs, or tasting abominable food in restaurants. In these ways, the plundering senses take away all the assets that the conditioned soul has acquired with great difficulty. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I apologize for my voice, it's really bad, so please bear with me. Although I want to speak enthusiastically, it might not reflect in my voice. This chapter is called The Forest of Enjoyment. Forest of Enjoyment. As we've been hearing from Jadabharata speaking to Maharaj Rahugana, he referred to this forest of enjoyment. And Shukadeva Goswami, for our benefit, is elaborating on the details on what this forest actually means. And thankfully Parikshit Maharaj asked that question. And so he's describing, the first thing is, we receive this body. Is specifically talking about the human form of life. So the human form of life is achieved by some merit. It does not come about very easily. And so when it is achieved, it is described that one should utilize it for a better position. Now there are different opinions of what is a better position, and so relatively speaking, one path tells or provides a guideline for a better position. It's called dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And the other is going back to Godhead, straight up through the process of direct Krishna consciousness. Now it is interesting that as soon as we get a human form of life, we also get these beautiful senses and a mind. A mind and 5 knowledge-acquiring senses. And as we described earlier, sometime earlier, in other living entities, one of these senses is very powerful, like a vulture or an eagle. He has fantastic eyesight. He can look at something down on the ground, although he's way high up, almost 2 miles up or something. Or an elephant has a very good sense of smell, etc. But when it comes to the human configuration, the senses are arranged in such a way about the mind that all 5 senses are very, very powerful. And these powerful senses, they impel the conditioned living entity to act in ways that may not be beneficial for him. Not just may not be, that are not beneficial for him. So the senses are called plunderers. Plunderer, by definition, is that person who takes away, who robs one of another's wealth, who robs one of his wealth without any consideration or pity, or empathy. So the senses, although they're inert matter, they are designed in such a way that they rob the human being from his or her ultimate benefit. And the senses are activated because of the mind. All the desires are sitting in the mind. And by nature, these desires are vented through the senses. So the senses become very, very agitated and alive. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati compares our senses to venomous serpents. In fact, in the Mukundamala Stotra also, King Kulashekara, he compares our senses to venomous serpents again. He says, these venomous serpents, they have completely robbed me of any good sense. So much so that I have wasted my life. And so our acharyas, including Bhaktivinoda Thakur, write these songs to awaken us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's greatness is that he was able to bring the esoteric truths of Krishna consciousness, and some not so esoteric, some very direct as well, into the lives of common people in very easy, understandable terms. As I was growing up as a child, unfortunately, I visited many Mayavadi programs. And these Mayavadi programs would have a chart always, BMI, body, mind, and intellect, or something like that. And they would speak on this for like 4 hours. And thankfully, I didn't understand anything. And now when I look back, I think it was a blessing. But at that time, I was like, wow, complicated language. Uh, and their texts were also Upanishads, which are all naturally complicated. And boy, oh boy, hours and hours, hours and hours on one little thing, and so complicated. Language was complicated, the delivery was complicated, and the end of it was, it's okay if you have sense gratification. What is that? After so much discussion. And there are famous lines that people loved these lines. What was that? You can drink alcohol, but let alcohol not drink you. Yeah, wow, this is really good. You can control money, but let money not control you. Yeah, boy. And our acharyas speak exactly the opposite. It's like, what is this? You can drink alcohol, but let alcohol not drink you. When does an alcoholic understand that he's being overtaken by alcohol? This is really. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought about a revolution in simple language. With the song Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Kota Nidra Jayo Maya, Pisha Chira Kole. Everyone is sleeping on the lap of the witch called ignorance. And Lord Chaitanya has come to awaken us from that slumber. And in this song, just different names of Krishna to be called upon as soon as one wakes up in the morning. Vibhavari Sesha, the night has ended. Aloka Pravesha, Aloka means the sun. Sun is, it's another day, another opportunity to dedicate a life to calling out Krishna's names. So he says, Nidra Chari Utha Jiva, give up your sleep and wake up. And what to do? Generally, people, when they wake up, the first thing they do is, it's the urge for sense gratification. They have to have a cup of coffee. Because without coffee, nothing really works. No bodily function works without coffee. It's the common phenomena when you go to a workplace. You can tell from people's faces what day of the week it is. As soon as you see that everybody like that, what day of the week is it? Monday morning. It's like, oh, I'm at work. And faces are hopeful. You know, it's a Friday afternoon. I'm so looking forward to sense gratification. And depending upon which mode of nature they've picked, or which mode of nature has picked them for that day, what are you looking forward to? Oh, we're going to some place to eat some very obnoxious animal. The newer types of living entities they eat, the more enjoyable they feel. Or I'm so looking forward to sleeping the whole weekend. Here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, wake up and bolo Hari Hari, Mukunda Murari, Rama Krishna Hayagriva, and the whole list of Krishna's names. So sense gratification, here the first line of the purport begins with Purva Janmarjita Vidya Purva janmarjitam dhanam agre dhavati dhavati. That knowledge and wealth that one has accumulated on the merits of previous activities, he uses them to run after sense gratification. So when one is born in this human form of life, for whatever, for different persons, it's different proportions of it, but it's still, there is some uh, richness, learning, some beauty is very relative. I mean, everyone feels differently about it. Or birth, sense of birth, highborn. And if one has these four, or any one of these four, then it is a symptom, it's an indication that there is some merit, material merit in their previous lives. And that merit has a purpose. And the purpose is to advance the consciousness from human life form to ultimately to Krishna consciousness. So it's a facility. These are facilities. Now, along with facilities is a very important feature that needs to be there. So one knows what to do with the facilities. It's called responsibility. So by dint of being in the human form of life, one has this, or one is supposed to have this sense of responsibility. Responsible means how to use, to know how to use the facilities that are provided. How to use them and to what end. And therefore, human form of life, the greatest gift in the human form of life is education, vidya. Without education, one does not become uh, alert to the sense of responsibility. Animals don't go to school. They don't go to colleges. In one sense, that's protection for them. It's only the human beings who fall in this trap. The principle of education is necessary because through education, one becomes cultured. Through education or through learning, one becomes more responsible. And this is why educational institutions are opened, or that's the principle. And in Vedic times, the school meant living with the spiritual master or the teacher, and the teacher would make sure that the sense of responsibility is growing within the student. But nowadays, we see billboards that say, drink responsibly. This is an oxymoron. You cannot drink responsibly. If you're drinking, you're irresponsible. That's what it means. And if you're responsible, then you cannot drink. You should not drink. So educational institutions were started, and they started from when the child was young. Kaumara acharet paragya dharman bhagavataniha durlabham manusham janma tadapi arthadam adrubam. Right from a young age, these things were taught. Human form of life is very rare. And because it is rare, even though it is rare, it can provide a great benefit. And that great benefit is Bhagavata Dharma, engaging in the loving service of Krishna. And for these principles, everything else was taught. Discipline, cleanliness, respect, tolerance, non-violence, humility. Everything else was taught. And the teacher would look and examine whether the child is developing knowledge. In Bhagavad Gita, the symptoms of knowledge are given as qualities. 20 qualities. And the teacher would make sure that the child is developing these qualities. And if for some reason the child is not developing those qualities, the teacher would adjust the curriculum, if you will, so that they will learn those qualities. So that when they become adults, the teachers and the spiritual master is very confident that from here on they will use their lives very responsibly. What is in this purport? The symptom of responsible life or responsible living is one controls one's senses. Although there are these urges, the senses always, they're called vega. So Las Vegas means openly given to all the pushings of the senses. No wonder it's called what? Sin City. Sin City. Pushings, Vegas. Give venting to all the pushings of the senses. But responsible life means learning how to not respond to those urges. It takes practice, it takes determination, of course it takes a ton of mercy. It takes the association of like-minded persons. And most importantly, it takes one's own desire, want to do that. And not degrade from the position that has been acquired after many, many, many lifetimes. So in this purport, Prabhupada repeats it for like about 6 times, that human form of life is meant for advancement in Krishna consciousness, is meant for advancement in Krishna consciousness. Say same sentence multiple times. And particularly it talks about the senses plundering one's wealth. Money is a very important asset. And especially as one, in the human form of life, wealth has a particular benefit that it facilitates the acquisition of other facilities and comforts. And of course, we know that money is also the most corrupting of these, facilities. Therefore, the first thing the Lord Chaitanya says not to is na dhanam. Because with wealth comes the sense of unrestricted enjoyment. With it also comes false prestige. With it also comes arrogance. With it also comes what's called self-righteousness. Oh, I'm better than others, etc. So dhanam is a very contaminating feature. But without dhanam, it's very difficult to survive. Because from dhanam comes food, clothing, shelter. And especially in the modern context, with a capitalist environment, everything is centered around money. The other day we were discussing that, I did not know, this is very interesting, that there is a casino in Indiana, right? And there are free shuttles that go from somewhere here near the temple, a couple of blocks down. Free shuttles for senior citizens that take them from here, and I'm sure there are many like this, and take them to the casino for free. Why? And who Himanshu rode on that one, and not for gambling, but that was Ajagar Vritti. He took a free ride. And who all gets down? All these senior citizens with their social security checks, and these people are very happy to take them. And the whole day, these seniors are sitting in front of the slot machines, hoping for hitting the jackpot. But they're so ignorant that the money that's already in hand is being given away. Plundering. I mean, there are plunderers waiting, but they're plundering themselves because they don't know what to do with their time. They don't know what to do with the money that they have. Here Prabhupada is saying the money is meant for Krishna consciousness. Time is meant for Krishna consciousness. The senses are meant for engaging in Krishna consciousness. Plunderers. So at the end of life, one is left poverty stricken, or one is left devoid of all the sense of uh, opportunity that he or she had having the human form of life. So one realizes that everything has been wasted. Manusha janama paya, Radha Krishna na bhajiya. Janiya suniya visha khaina. Narottam Das Thakur says that although although I have achieved the human form of life, I have not engaged it in serving Radha and Krishna. Knowingly, I have drank poison. Visha khaina. And so there are many songs like this, that at the what they call sunset years of life, one realizes, oh, what to do. Somebody challenged Srila Prabhupada once. Oh, Swamiji, you're always talking about Krishna and God, and life should be meant for serving God and this and that. What if at the end of your life you realize that there is no God? And Prabhupada said, oh well, if I realize that there is no God, at least when I look back, I think I've lived a good life or something. I haven't wasted anything. I've lived a good life. And he turned it around to the person. He said, you're such an atheist. You wasted your time. What if at the end of your life you realize there is God? Man had no answer. That's called the uh-oh. What else? Bhuliya tumhare. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, forgetting you, my dear Krishna. And at this stage of life, all I can do is sing my sad story to you. All I can say is, oh, my dear Krishna, I wasted time. And so through Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs and Acharya's different songs and purports like this is meant to help us uh, recommit to that sense of responsibility of human life. One who has all these assets should know that they're all meant for advancement in Krishna consciousness. Now we may or we may not have those assets, or we may have them to different proportions. Regardless, the greatest asset is the human form of life, the capacity to understand simple language, and the facility to use our senses. It's also described that one who um, uses the senses in a harmful way, or in sense gratification, they speed up their aging process, meaning they speed up their death. Although they may not die particularly soon, if one says that way, what will happen is terrible diseases. There's one lecture, I can't remember the reference, in which Prabhupada mocks the sense gratification, sense gratifier. He says yogis live very long because they're able to regulate their breathing. So he was making the point that each one of us, in one lifetime, we have, by our karma, we have so many breaths that we can take. That's how lifespan is determined. So the yogis, they breathe very slowly. And that way they can take many breaths over many, many years. I'll tell you a yogi joke later. And he said the sense gratifier, the materialist, he wastes all his breath in sexual enjoyment. Like all you think Prabhupada was imitating. So he says he exhausts all his breath very quickly. So there were three yogis meditating in a cave. And a mouse ran by. So after about 2 years, one yogi said to another yogi, the other two, "Did you see the rabbit?" 2 years later, the second yogi said, "That was not a rabbit, that was a mouse." And 2 years passed by, and the third one said, "If you two don't stop arguing, I'm going to leave this cave." So the breathing is nice. So these assets, they're meant to uh, to preserve, and to take us to the next destination. The ultimate destination is, as they say, back home, back to Godhead. More importantly, it's not like our sense of controlling the senses is not like the yogis or any other spiritualist, so-called spiritualist method of controlling. In general, the sense of controlling seems to indicate abnegation. Our process is not that. Our process is to utilize in service to Krishna appropriately. So it's not like we have to stop breathing, stop seeing, stop hearing, stop tasting. No. Prabhupada gives in the purport the different ways in which the senses are regulated. They're utilized in Krishna's service, in seeing the deity. I was narrating the story of Dhanurdas. His eyes were so captivated by this young lady's beauty, her eyes, that he hasn't seen anything more beautiful until he saw Lord Ranganath's eyes. In hearing about Krishna. Because these things purify the heart and mind, purify the mind from those desires for sense gratification into the aspirations for improving the condition of life. This is called higher taste. Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So artificially controlling them is not. Although there is some room for controlling them. There is some room to say no, but our process is not just saying no, our process is to say no, but also yes in relation to Krishna. Okay, any comments? Want to add something? One spoils an opulent position in the material world by driving cars, spending time in nightclubs, or tasting abominable food in restaurants. In these ways, the plundering senses take away all the assets that the conditioned soul has acquired with great difficulty. So the first element, or the first situation in the forest of material enjoyment, or not first, we're talking about, uh, yeah, is the plunderers. The senses, they act as plunderers. They rob the human being of all his assets. The human being in the forest is called the merchant. He's walking through the forest, and there are plunderers. The senses are these plunderers, and more coming. Anything?
Plunders one's intelligence. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita,
Yes.
that even one of the Brahmi senses can carry away the. So what if someone commits an offense, like a devotee commits an offense on account of the uncontrolled senses? Then how does he recover or rectify that situation?
What?
Especially if the senses remain uncontrolled.
Yeah, he cannot rectify. The rectification is step 3. The first step is recognition. And says that the second step is regret. Without recognition and regret, there's no question of rectification. So the persons who commit offenses, they cannot do anything about it until recognition comes about. And recognition has to come about this way or that way. Either someone has to knock them on the head and help them recognize, or just failure after failure after failure, or challenge after challenge after challenge, or frustration after frustration after frustration. Hopefully they will say, what's going on? And if the person has some merit previously, let's say devotional merit, then the tendency to ask, what's going on, is the protective feature of that devotional credit. But if otherwise, if that's also not there, they will never realize. Like there are so many persons out there who may say offensive things to the Vaishnavas or something, but there isn't any change necessarily, because no devotional credit coming to their uh, rescue. But for a Vaishnava, they will recognize. You know the story of one devotee? I can't remember the name. Sachinandan Maharaj described it. There was a devotee in Germany who was a very, very, very powerful book distributor. And for many, many years, did fantastic book distribution. One day was in Vrindavan, and was in Loi Bazaar wanting to come back to the temple. And he haggled a particular price for a rickshaw ride back. Something like 5 rupees or something. And they went back and forth with the rickshaw wala, and they settled it for 5 rupees or something. The rickshaw wala brought him to the temple, and he said, I want 10 rupees. He said, but we decided 5. No, I want 10. So something, they went back and forth again, arguing like anything. And he gave him 5, and the rickshawala threw the 5 back. So this devotee got upset, and he slapped the rickshawala. He's a Brajavasi. Slapped him. And that's it. Before you knew, and within the course of few days or months or something, he had fallen from his whole Krishna consciousness and left everything. Left chanting, left this, left that, and just vanished from the association of devotees. It seems after many, many years, Maharaj was in Vrindavan and saw this Prabhu wandering on the streets of Vrindavan. He said, oh, I recognize you, many, many years ago. What are you doing here? He said, well, I made a big mistake. I made a big mistake that I had slapped a Rajavasi for just a matter of 5 rupees. I could have given him 10 and just gone away, but I slapped him. And here I am struggling, begging and pleading Krishna in Vrindavan, serving the sadhus, hoping that I can come back, revive my Krishna consciousness. So some past credit in the bhakti credit is that protective feature that at least says, hey, you made a big mistake. Otherwise, what to do? Yeah, Srinath. You have a question? No, you have a question? You have a question or no question?
The 5 senses, gross senses described by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, and you gave the only sense practicing devotee should carry is a sense of responsibility. And misusing our sense of responsibility in a mundane way and imposing as a devotee can have a strong, consequences, not in our life, in many people's life. So how to keep on reminding ourselves like we have to act responsibly is a challenge.
Good health comes from daily, I guess, upkeep. So our process is to hear daily, morning and evening, hearing so that this sense of responsibility is developing. In case it is missing or it has lessened, then it is brought back. So, in fact, so many verses about human form. Prabhupada's whole lectures are all about human form of life, very rare. Human form of life, very rare. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs are human form of life, very rare, very rare. So, okay. So, thank you very much. We'll gather again not around. We'll gather again at 11:15 for Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day celebrations and bhajans. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.